Alrighty, welcome to episode 184 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. In a remarkable repetition of results, Tesla's 2018 CEO compensation plan has been ratified by shareholders by the same margin of 72% as was voted back in 2018. Shareholders have also voted in favour for the redomestication of Tesla from Delaware to Texas. Elon Musk has announced he's currently working on Tesla's secret master plan version 4. While he gave no clues as to its contents, it's widely presumed it will focus on humanoid robots such as Tesla's Optimus. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome to Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As is customary, and usually to elicit a pregnant pause, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello. Or perhaps a little bit later. Alrighty, so obviously the biggest piece of news we've heard is that Elon Musk's CEO compensation award has been re-ratified again. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the Delaware courts and how Judge McCormick will respond to this ratification, which even Tesla acknowledges is a novel way to try and progress that plan. And also Tesla, the shareholders have voted to move Tesla to Texas. Bearing in mind, it's not impossible for Delaware to resist that move and basically deny it, which they have shown is within their powers with other companies. So definitely interesting times ahead. And obviously Elon Musk's Tesla Secret Master Plan Part 4 obviously is all about Optimus, which is the future, well beyond EVs. Alrighty, has anyone got any opening questions or comments?
Just a quick one. I forgot to mention last week, the go-karts, the Tokwa go-karts, which are on the 7th of July at about 3:15 p.m. Go grab your tickets. They were sold out in each one of the last 3 years. I understand at least half the tickets are already sold, so they'll probably be all sold out soon. The cost is $73 for non-members and $53 for members, and a member can purchase up to 2 tickets. And incidentally, a membership only costs $20 to be a Tokwa member. That's for a whole year, so $40 worth of value if you become a member for $20 pretty much straight away.
Absolutely, thanks Pete. And there are literally 24 of the 48 tickets sold, so there are 24 left. So please do get in to avoid disappointment. And you'll see links. You'll see a link either on an email that you would have gotten as a financial member, or on our Facebook page.
On the you have to make sure that the Taylors don't take all the trophies this year.
I'd just like to ask that everybody comes so that I've got some actual competition.
Oh, right.
All right. So the old codgers are, yeah. Anyway, I was going to say something.
I think Shane should tow a small trailer. That should be his compensation.
Now we're talking go-karts with trailers. It's like a Top Gear special.
What could possibly go wrong? That would be entertaining for sure. All right, thanks, Pete. And yeah, please do book to avoid disappointment. Don't leave it until all the tickets are sold. Alrighty, any other opening questions or comments, especially from anyone who is new or has recently gotten a Tesla? Oof, it's going to be a tough night tonight. I'll start off. Shout out to Rob Dean, our chair, who has put a couple of articles on the Driven. And one of them's about, it's not really our favourite chestnut, but it's the NRMA, who seems to be striking again. So he made a comment about the Eldunda charger still remaining at the 35 kilowatt half level of when it was installed back in October. He then went on to say that the Nullarbor Roadhouse was actually doing really well, and for him it worked perfectly. Sadly, it seems that that is no longer the case, and a plug sharer has basically reported that it's offline and not working properly. So unfortunately, with $80 million of federal government funding, it seems difficult for the NRMA to deliver this project in a timely manner and one that's actually effective for its purpose, which is to try and facilitate the movement of EVs on long trips. So please do better, NRMA. We'd really love to praise you. You really should be on paper, but you've got to deliver the goods first, please. And let's not strand any more EVs. Apparently, one of the solutions they said at Eldunda was, oh, well, maybe you could just get your car towed to another charging location. Alrighty. Any comments or questions?
So that was part of Rob's trip that he did with Robin recently, and he went from basically Perth, Darwin, Adelaide, and back to Perth. So pretty much did half a lap. So yeah, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's anyone in Australia that's travelled more kilometres in an electric car, apart from the two TOCWA committee members, being the secretary and the chairman.
Oh no, actually, you're wrong. There's a Model S that's done 600,000.
Oh,
It's
yes.
yeah. So
up to 700,000 kilometres actually.
or 700. Yeah.
It was at 666 when you had to swap the motor, I think. Yeah, he's over 700. But yeah, so apart from him, do you know of anyone else? Or
look at, I don't know. There's always some other idiot out there. I mean, look, Uber drivers do a lot of driving. So if you're a chauffeur or a
not
so
about professional drivers or people that do it for a career or for a living. So
oh, you mean amateur idiots that just keep doing long road trips? No, there's not that many at the rest of Australia. It's all in WA, and they're all TOCWA committee members, unfortunately.
Some of them are quite
It's a
bald.
risk of the profession. Oh,
So-
but Shane isn't, and some people do it in
Some
the
of them are
caravan.
quite bald, apparently. Hey, Pete, tell us about this fellow that's done the 600,000 or 700,000.
yeah, so Bridie did a good write-up about him on, I'm not sure if it was on the Driven or on NRMA, but on one of her two platforms. So I can't remember. I read the article about 3 weeks ago. I do remember the Model S from a couple of years ago. I think he's had, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's had 2 motors replaced, both under warranty. But yeah, he's up to about 700,000 kilometres. Maybe James or Harold.
Yeah,
maybe...
I'm looking for it now. He's a chauffeur.
Right. Okay. So that excludes him as well, Harold. So
even as a chauffeur, that's a lot of Ks.
He drives from Byron Bay to Sydney, ferrying people from the airport to Byron Bay or something like that.
Yeah. There you go. So I think it's.
Oh, sorry, Pete. So again, you just broke up then.
Links in the
I think it's Harold and Rob that are that are the leaders when it comes to, who would have more? Would it be you, Harold, or would it be Rob?
I'm not going to brag. I'm not doing it.
So
I don't know. My current Y's done 105,000 Ks. My ex had done 220,000 Ks, and my other Y had done 30,000. So
about 370.
I'm bad on maths. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think Rob's pretty close.
So I think Rob's about 350. So yeah, you're both neck and neck. Yeah.
Yeah, we're equal idiots in this venture. but someone's got to do it. So you don't have to.
See, I could
Um,
claim that my Model Y's done 80,000, my Model 3's done 130,000, so that's 210. Then the other one's done 70,000, so that's 280. And then I've got 30,000 on the performance, so I could say that I'm at 310. But that would be cheating because a lot of those kilometres were done by renters. So
yeah, without my lips moving, that would be
Bullshit.
So anyway,
Actually, while we're talking about sort of higher mileage stuff, I had a interesting experience on Saturday, I think it was. I had a little bit of a puckering experience. I just do my usual thing on the weekends, and I jumped in the car to shoot down the hill to Midland, and it got about, I don't know, maybe 5Ks up the road, and I noticed that there was an alert that had popped up on the screen saying DC charging was unavailable. At which point I started to stress a little bit, but we've got 15-minute drive down to Midland, so I got Sarah to pull out her phone and start Googling what the potential causes of this error message might be, because my car's well out of warranty for that sort of stuff anyway. And yeah, it turns out that apparently the back housing on the DC charge port, or on the charge port, can get a little bit loose. And so when I got down the bottom of the hill, I pulled the little bit of cover off, gave it a good hard poke with my finger, and it clipped back on. The error message went away and stayed away. So when I got home, I got some zip ties out and zip tied it shut. And yeah. So just be aware that I guess things do rattle loose eventually. That's after nearly 120,000 Ks. Yeah, I did panic for a little bit, but turned out it was unwarranted.
what did you say was the actual component that was loose again, Shane?
If you pull away in the Model 3 at least, the
Bullshit.
left-hand side of the
sorry, I didn't mean that. Sorry.
in the rear left-hand side of there you go, that thing. If you pull away the inner boot lining, which is like I don't know what it is. It's almost like felt. You pull that away, and you can see that. That's actually my bit. That's the zip tie.
Indeed.
That rear cover apparently can come a little bit loose, and there must be a sensor inside it, which makes me feel a little bit comfortable actually that it's got a sensor inside it. Because if that cover came off, then there'd be some really hot parts inside it. And
so just that plastic cover that's zip tied to the cables there, right?
Yeah, well, there's the cover is normally clipped on the little pegs there with the white cross on the top of them. I think that's what aligns them, and then inside that, they're like around the edges there, you can see little clip looking bits. I think yeah, I think those little clippy looking bits are what hold it together.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, maybe it's just a little bit of vibration after quite a few cases. It's probably those Queensland roads. And yeah, it had come a little bit loose, or maybe it had come a little bit loose. But as soon as I gave it a bit of a push, the error message went away, and it was happy. So zip tie, and it's been happy ever since. Mind you, that's only a week, but we'll see how we go.
Very good.
Very good. My apologies. I didn't see who put their hand up first, whether it was Shane or Paul.
Shane.
Okay, so go Shane and then Paul.
Shane.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
So we've had our Y for just over a year, and I'm pretty sure about 6 months ago I put on an issue that we went down a hill. We live in the Perth Hills, Rollstone area. Went down and it got to 1% recharge, and then it said recharge not available, and put a thing for Tesla, and they said, oh, it's because because the Canning Mills Road is quite steep, and puts too much energy in or something. So we left it. However, we went to Albany 2 weeks ago on the long weekend. We supercharged in Williams. It was 20 degrees, 21 degrees ambient temperature. We left Williams, drove 110, maybe a little bit faster, to get back down to home on Bedford Hill. I don't know if anyone's done that. We started to regen, and as we're regenning, I'm putting a bit more power into the car. There's a little bit of acceleration just to keep up with the speed, the speed traffic and everything else. Sorry, I'm just reading from here. But essentially, basically it was 54%, it regen to 55, then it said temporary, unavailable, can't do regen, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought that's not normal. Has anyone else got a Model Y LFP that's done that same trip? And if so, how much regen can you put in the car? Because we asked Tesla and they were going to say, yeah, we'll come out and check it. But if there's nothing wrong, it's $391 to check it out. So I don't know.
How many Ks has your car done, Shane?
Sorry?
How many kilometers?
23,000.
Do you have any problems with supercharging or high-speed charging? Does it sort of seem to slow right down, and does your fan stick on really high when it's trying to cool the car?
Sorry, the fans what?
The fan, so the front fan for your radiator,
Yeah.
does it come on really, really, really hard a lot of the time when you're charging your car?
Like supercharging or just normal charging?
No, supercharging.
Oh, no, they come on initially, but because we went down to Albany for the long weekend and went to Williams, Coconut, did Albany, all that stuff, conditioned the battery. And there seemed to be no problem at all. And it was just coming down Bedford Hill, long sloping hill. I didn't think I was putting too much into the battery as far as current goes. Got 1% extra, and then the battery just said, the car just said, regen unavailable. So I'm just
Do you have
wondering
the dongle? Do you have like sexy buttons or anything like that? Do you have any means of seeing your CAN bus data?
probably not,
Okay.
but I'd be interested to see how to do that.
My only thought was whether the car was overheating, and that
Okay.
could be due to leaves in the radiator. In
I
fact,
I did check that because of what you've done. No, it's nothing. There's nothing there.
I know Shane, Shane Parker, you were mentioning that you had restricted regen, but that was because your car was too cold and the air actually sucked the heat out of the battery and you couldn't regen properly.
Yeah, that's quite common at this time of year. Pretty much every morning I get in the car, regardless of what the ambient temperature is. I'm usually leaving home at around 70-odd% or 80-odd%, something like that. And by the time I get to, even the end of the street, which is not downhill at all, I've got a limited regen warning at least. And by the bottom of the hill, but the hill is Red Hill. By the time I get to the highway, it's usually pretty much, there's almost no regen left. I've decreased my percentage a little bit, but it's almost no regen left, kind of regardless of what the temperature is this time of year.
So Shane, did you have your heater on, or was your aircon heating?
Usually the heater would be on, because you jump in the car and the car's set to 21.5 or whatever it is, and outside is definitely colder.
Sorry, Shane, I meant the other Shane. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey Miller, do you?
No. So we preheated the battery for supercharging at Williams, then drove the 120 odd to Perth, to Bedfordale. It was, you know, we were passing lots of trucks and lots of stuff. So it wasn't like the car was just cruising along. I was, you know, giving it a little bit of stick fall up those overtaking lanes. But then just as we got to the top of Bedfordale Hill where it slows down, we started to regen. Not all the time, because parts of it is not too steep. So you sort of got to put a little bit of input into it to keep up with the traffic. And it was 54%. Then it went to 55, topped out at 56, and then it said no more. That's it. Temporary unavailable.
I just had a thought. When that happens, sorry to interrupt, I just had a thought.
That's all right.
If you go to the side of the road, when that happens, and go into service mode. So to go
Okay.
into service mode, you tap and hold the name of your car
Yeah.
under the square screen. I think it is the bottom, one of the bottom menus. You
Yeah.
tap and hold it. It says enter code. You enter the word service and
Service.
go into service mode, and you can go into the there's HVAC and also cooling system or battery. Well, it's like a cooling loop, and it shows temperatures. I think the
Okay.
thing before you get Tesla and take the risk of them taking $300
Yeah.
is try and replicate the error, and while it's doing it, have a quick look at the temperatures to see
Okay.
if the temperatures look either very high or very low.
Right. Okay.
So, because the two things that will restrict regen, well, there's three things: is the state of charge of your battery, which it's not that clearly.
Yeah.
The if it's too hot, that will also restrict regen because it restricts the amount it wants to be charged at to prevent it from further heating.
Yeah.
And also, I wouldn't call it extreme cold, but when your battery is below 20 degrees. Now, the thing is, that's at odds with what you said, because you said you preheated the battery. So it sounds
Williams,
more
yeah.
like a heating issue.
Just quickly, he'd said he preheated the battery going into Williams, but this was 200 kilometers later, and
120
20 degrees is the limit where it, you know, the little green icon, I've just put it into the chat. Under 20 degrees, it does limit your, and 20 degrees isn't that cold for coming in the back of there. What time were you going down there, Shane?
About 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're heading north, obviously.
And what temperature?
It's probably the ambient temperature is probably about 21. It was it was on the Monday of the long weekend that we just had.
In the chat, I've just put that little green icon. That will appear around about 70 F, which is about 21 degrees Celsius.
Okay. All right.
And that'll appear. If that appears, then that is your car telling you, I'm not going to regen because it's too cold.
Right. Okay.
And it's not that cold at all. 20 degrees is not that cold at all.
No.
And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I've done that as well in that area, even though it's not very steep,
No.
because you're not loading it up. You do a fast uphill about
that's right.
10 minutes before, and then it's a very gradual downhill. You're in the shadows, and it is probably about 5 degrees cooler there than it is on the other side of the hills.
Okay.
So just knowing from riding my motorbikes there and then riding Tesla there, it is significantly colder there. So I think your battery could easily get down to that temperature.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Because you're not working it. Yeah.
And service mode would confirm
All
that
right.
because
Thanks,
it does measure battery temperature in the service mode.
All right.
But look for that little icon. It's almost deceptive. You don't notice it because it just pops up, that little green icon.
It's in the
If
top
that's
right.
up, yeah.
And that little thing, once that icon pops up, it actually goes through multiple stages before it actually shuts it down altogether.
Yeah, it'll limit, then it'll restrict, then it'll stop it off.
Yeah. We've always only had restrict.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Awesome.
No worries. Paul, you were next.
Just before we go on to the next topic, I was just quickly going to ask, what would you consider a temperature that's too hot for the battery? Would you say 80 degrees, 90 degrees?
No, that would kill the battery. I've seen it go to 56 on fast DC charging. So
Right.
it might not necessarily be the battery voltage itself. Like, for example, if you were full of leaves, it might restrict charging, as I've sort of somewhat experienced. And I think, Shane, you've experienced actually, Shane Parker.
Yes, I'm just looking up the photo. I had that happen in Norseman on the way back the last time.
Did that restrict the regen at that time as well?
Norseman's pretty flat. I wouldn't know.
Right.
And he's towing a caravan, so you wouldn't get much regen because of all the windage. So yeah, you're just dragging an anchor.
And so the optimal temperature would be around 30, 40?
Anything above 20, so that's the threshold. But 19, 20 is the threshold for lower threshold for limiting charging amount. So in fact, in the CAN bus, there is actually a number that's called max regen, and usually that's very high. And when your battery gets colder and colder, it just reduces.
But when the conditions the battery prior to supercharging, what temperature does it sort of aim for? Is it 30
45, I thought.
45, is it? Okay.
Quite warm, and yeah, that's another story. All right, Paul.
Oh, awesome. I was going to say I was very, very happy and excited last Friday watching the Tesla shareholder meeting, I got up at 4:20.
Of course you did.
So I was there beforehand. Oh, it was awesome. It was one of my happiest days
It was
so far.
brilliant, wasn't it?
So, and of course the stock went down, so that was really good. So I just loaded up some more, went full. But yeah, I was very impressed with Tesla, how fast they sort of moved, because they incorporated into Texas that night. So they actually did all the paperwork and everything, and it's all being signed in and all that sort of stuff. So I was very impressed with that. And
yes, but don't get too excited too quickly, because it is within the power of the Delaware court to attempt to block that. It has been done before. So
yeah, I doubt, I highly doubt I'll do that. Maybe the package thing, they might pull some bullshit, but we voted twice.
And you'd hope that
I
the
had
fact
more
that
shares this time round to vote, so that was even better.
the lawyers in Delaware asked for $5 billion compensation. You hope that might make anyone nervous and back to them. Yeah, I don't think they'll go back and say, "Oh, do you want to do some more work for us?"
Yeah,
indeed.
Exactly. No, well, they've already done the appeals. But the second thing I was happy about was Elon answered about like the Cybertruck, like an international version. Once it
the China one
up and running, mass production. So like China, which would be us, and European. So I was like, woohoo, because I definitely want one.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know, so I guess I really don't know, but my presumption is if the F350 is allowed in Australia, unless they do an internationally homologated version, and well, put it this way, if it was the converted ones, which are the F350s that are converted, I would have thought the Cybertruck would comply in for Australian regulations at least anyway. But I don't know that for certain.
I hope so. Yeah, because we've got quite a lot of big American pickup trucks here now, like the Silverados and the Rams and the other stuff. So can't see why not. I mean, we're sort of like America.
There's nothing that I can
like now. So
there's nothing I can think of that would prevent it from being allowed to be sold in Australia. Obviously, the dimensions are smaller than other trucks on the road here already. I mean, it's no doubt it will be a right-hand drive because it's steer-by-wire. So, I mean, what could prevent it? I can't think of what it could be.
Don't know.
In Europe, there's big problems. In Europe, there's big problems because of their laws. But here, because it should be all right because they'll be under the light commercial, same as our F350s anything over
Mm.
whatever the tonnage it was, 3.5 tons.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. But obviously, we know Elon Musk has confirmed there will be no efforts to bring Cybertruck to any market except for North America this year. So he's
Oh,
already
yeah.
confirmed that he wants it to be fully ramped before Tesla contemplates anything else.
And that makes
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
makes
fine.
perfect.
That's good. That's good for us though, because hopefully all the bugs will be ironed out by then.
yeah, the windshield wiper might
Yeah.
the accelerator might work.
Exactly. Huffies, you've got your hand up.
I was just gonna ask about that regen. I get it frequently or very commonly coming down Greenmount. So coming down from, so I only notice it sometimes, but once I get down to flat and then turn into Great Eastern Highway and then go for another 4 or 5 kilometers, it disappears. I've tried using the sexy buttons to reduce the regen down to 50 and 25. Doesn't make any difference. It still comes up. It's usually in the evening, so I guess it could be that it's colder. I haven't thought about the temperature. Is there anything that I could look in the stats I could tell?
Yes, so sexy buttons, if you download, actually sexy buttons themselves have battery temperature, so they do tell you what, you can look up the battery temperature. If you want a bit more detail, you can just tell the sexy buttons to be compatible with Scan My Tesla via Wi-Fi, and then you can use Scan My Tesla. You can get that app. I'm not sure if it's still free or if there's a small charge. I don't recall now. It's been a while ago since I got it. But then you can look through the battery stats. And again, if your battery is lower than 20 degrees, that'll be it. So don't bother using sexy buttons to lower regen. To be honest, you really want regen to be as hard as it can be, because you can then just feather with your accelerator how much you want, so you can glide gently to a stop or stop light or stop sign, whatever. But it's highly likely, I mean, put it this way, in 2 more sleeps, we'll go through the winter solstice and the days will be getting longer and obviously warmer. So this is really a winter thing. The other thing too is, what's your state of charge? You've got LFP, a standard range?
Yeah, LFP. It's
Standard range.
March 2024.
Yeah, cool.
So I charge to 100% at Northam on AC and then leave work to
Yep.
come home.
Okay, so your car is at a fairly high state of charge as well. So the combination of a high state of charge and a cold battery, particularly if you've got the heater running, or the aircon running and it's heating the cabin, it will actually, the Model Y and the Model 3, the newer cars, those that are say younger than about 2 or 3 years old roughly, they have a heat pump and a very sophisticated system that, rather than trying to scavenge heat from the thin air that's going through the radiator, they'll pick the low-hanging fruit, which is a nice warm, or even if it's not warm, it's a liquid interacting battery, and they'll pull the heat out of the coolant going through the drivetrain, including the battery, because the battery doesn't really mind if it's cold per se. It's just that you can't charge it and discharge it at high levels. But for normal cruising along, that's perfectly okay.
Yep.
It's actually efficient to do that. So yes, you'll probably use your brakes a little bit when you're going down a hill, or the car will actually do that for you if you're on cruise control or autopilot. But it's still more efficient than actually trying to heat your cabin in a less efficient way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a combination in your case of high state of charge initially and quite a cool environment. But
Thanks.
once we hit spring or summer, that'll just totally disappear.
Thanks.
For standard range, that's at least 3 years, Harold, because mine's got that.
Oh, cool, awesome. So yeah, so unless your car is quite old, actually, no, I won't say that. Anyway, if it's more than a few years old, it'll have a heat pump. In fact, I think if you go into the extra details under the software tab for your car. I think it might even say what kind of aircon you have. I think it says heat pump. Paul, you're in your car. Can you confirm that under other
Yes,
details?
cabin heater resistive. So yes,
There
it'll
you go.
say
So
heat
you've
pump.
got
Yeah,
the old-fashioned crappy
yeah,
heater. Yep.
good
Time to
heater,
get a new
nice
car,
and warm.
Paul.
We've got one. Trust me, that new performance is bloody awesome. Oh,
You mean the Model
yeah,
3?
the Model 3. Sorry, yeah, yeah. No, that's a beast.
Yes, it
That's really
is.
good.
And it's there to be
If
purchased, Paul.
you're
So,
up for a new one, I know,
oh,
but I'd rather get some more shares. That'll be worth heaps more. Sorry, yeah,
this
go.
this is true. Now, something else I remembered that was good news, and it seems that what you need is at any shareholder meeting or at anything that Elon Musk is involved with, you just need some person to say, "Oh, look, is it possible for you to extend the FSD transfer for another quarter?"
Yeah,
And then everyone cheers, and Elon Musk goes, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay." So there's no confirmation of it being available in WA yet, but it will probably occur next month for Q3. So that will be if you have a car that has FSD, full self-driving, then if you buy a new Tesla, you'll be able to transfer it from your old Tesla to your new one.
Mm.
And that's very likely to happen next quarter.
He actually looked like he was on the verge of saying yes to the original question, which was to make the transfers permanent. And then someone from the crowd, while he was pondering it, someone from the crowd yelled out and said, how about one more quarter? And he said, yeah, okay. So, yeah.
And to be honest, we've ventilated this many times in the past. If I buy a new iPhone from Apple, who is worth less than Nvidia, uh, you know, all the apps I've bought and its features just seamlessly go across to the new phone, and there's no fuss. It just happens. Even apps that you've purchased. So, you've got the situation. You buy a brand new car, you put FSD on it, which you should do after you've purchased it. So you do it in the comfort of the delivery center. You go out to King Edward Road and you get T-boned and the car's written off. That you've got to cough up when you get the replacement car. You've got to cough up another $10,100 for software that was never used.
And if that software ends up costing $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 sometime in the future, I mean, that's just going to be, it's going to be absolutely heartbreaking. Surely they can't keep this up. At some point, they've just got to go with the will of their customers.
Sorry.
Yeah, and the rhetorical question is, what does an insurance company what are they insuring for? Ones and zeros in a parameter setting on a computer. What was the value that was destroyed when the car was written off? Like, how did Tesla lose value? And how does that part of the mechanical portion of the car? But anyway, rant over. Huffies, you've got your hand up again, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, might be a really stupid question. What is the actual difference apart from signal green and red, or the advantage of and the visualizations now of having FSD for us? Maybe it answered before, sorry.
So there's three levels of semi-autonomy that Tesla provides. The first one is autopilot, which is entirely free. So every car that's new comes with it. The next one, for about $5,000, is enhanced autopilot. And that will get you things like navigate on autopilot, whereby it does semi-automatic lane changes. So if you when you're navigating to somewhere, it will, if there's a quiet lane next to you, or you're slowing down because of traffic, it will seek to go to a faster lane, either automatically or semi-automatically, according to how you set it. You can it does. So enhanced autopilot, I think, does
parking, and it does
That's
one other
five.
thing.
It does navigate and autopilot, auto lane change, auto park, summon, and smart summon.
Oh yeah, summon, except it doesn't do summon
very well.
at the moment, but let's not
So-
mention that.
Yep. And
The
then
navigate-
then FSD adds stop sign, roundabout, traffic light recognition, whereby it will actually automatically stop at those things. And there is the promise that once FSD supervised comes to Australia, you will get that for free
For free.
because you've prepaid for it. And then in the future, once autonomy is truly solved and made legal in this country, you will then be able, for no extra money, regardless of hardware that may or may not be required to fulfill that, your car, you could just send it off as a robo-taxi fleet. You can, lay in the back seat or whatever and have the car drive you around while you're not conscious of what it's doing. So you're buying a ticket. In a sense, you're buying, well, one approach is you're buying a ticket that entitles you to a future benefit that's much more tangible than what you can see today, or what you can experience today. We can see what it does in America, and it does some remarkable things, and it is coming. But again, Elon Musk has stated in the past, and he has sort of followed through with it, that we in Australia or in any jurisdiction will get some advance notice of an impending price rise, because Elon Musk basically said the cost would go up once FSD, beta, or supervised was enabled in that jurisdiction. So we're actually paying less than the US. In the US, it's now, I think, $8,500 US. For FSD, for us, it's 10,100 Australian. So we still have a discount, but he did promise if the feature set goes up and the price is going to go up, you'll have at least a few days notice, and then you'll have to decide whether you want to jump in and take that bet, or, well, take that promise of it being an awesome product sooner than later.
There's also the possibility that the price could actually decrease with more features, because that's what they've effectively done in the US. And the way it was justified is that they wanted to make it available to as many people as possible to try out the new capability. So if they're consistent with that approach, the price could actually go down for temporarily before it shoots up. But who knows?
So that the feature I use, I have FSD. The feature I use most, which comes with enhanced autopilot, is semi-automatic lane changing. So that's whereby you can basically not really look around, just put your indicator on, and then the car will only change lanes if it's safe to do so. Yeah, and for me, that's a killer app. I really like that. I enjoy that a lot. I think it makes the car very safe. So, you could do the halfway house and pay $5,000.
I have enhanced autopilot,
Oh,
so
cool.
that's enjoying. But I was just checking if, obviously I know some of you guys have got FSD, so not FSD, but So the navigate on autopilot, obviously it works on specific roads, isn't that? When it.
Yep.
It's
Basically,
mainly
yes.
highways. It will take the exit off the freeway for you, but literally within a couple of 100 meters, once you're on the exit on the ramp, it will prompt you. It'll basically prompt to tell you that it's no longer on navigate on autopilot. It will stay on autopilot, just not navigate on autopilot.
There's a couple of interchanges in Perth that it fully drives, like Northlink, and there is another one that will competently fully drive, but there's not many full interchanges that it'll do. But Northlink's kind of cool between Tonkin and Reed, and
Yes.
but yeah. But yes, to answer your original question, yeah, in Australia at the moment, FSD gets you stopping for stop signs and red lights, and for $5,500. You can decide whether that's a good investment or not. But as Harold says, my tip would be, having paid for FSD, buy enhanced autopilot and just keep an eye out for when the upgrade is, because you don't lose anything by doing that. They basically, you pay half the money and then you pay the other half to upgrade later.
Thanks. That's good advice. Thanks.
Hafiz, I've also put a link in the chat for you that has a link to the Tesla page that compares enhanced autopilot and FSD.
Right. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, have a look.
Thank you.
Link. Yes, and don't get me started on Smart Summon. The most recent software update has removed it from my car, and I'm very grumpy about that, along with Follow Distance 1. So Smart Summon was still working on the Model S up until version 12, and they appear to have dumped it for version 12.
The Follow Distance 1 has gone from the Model 3 and Model Y like 2 years ago, 18 months.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, but that was related to Tesla Vision cars not being capable of doing Follow Distance 1, whereas my Model S with radar has been able to do Follow Distance 1 from day one. So I don't know whether, in fact, it's just marketing, and now Follow Distance 2 is kind of Follow Distance 1, and they just call it something different. But Smart Summon was a cool party trick that I'm grumpy that doesn't work anymore.
It was Audi distance.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I come from a long line of Audi driving, so I'm all about the Audi Follow Distance. You know, it's fine.
But yeah, both of my Model 3s have got radar. They're 2019 models, and they don't have one enabled anymore. And yeah, it's been at least 18 months. So yeah.
There you go. Something that is new that's coming very soon will be the Powerwall 3, which has been announced or released in Germany and the UK.
Yep.
Worryingly, in the UK, the specs say it is single phase, and in Germany, they are also single phase. And there's a little note here at the bottom, and it basically says you can have 3 Powerwalls doing each phase, but they cannot run 3-phase loads. And in fact, to run them in 3-phase, you have to have some external equipment that does some phasing, but it will not run 3-phase loads. So unfortunately, it seems, and in Germany, 3-phase is not rare. It is a thing. And in the UK, although it's rarer on the older houses, on the newer ones, it's again not rare. But it seems that at the moment, it's not looking good for Powerwall 3 to finally take up its namesake and actually be 3-phase in Australia, unless Tesla specifically pulls a rabbit out of the hat. But to date, they haven't got a reputation for doing so. So it's a little bit disappointing if you've got 3-phase houses. Just quietly.
I was just reading exactly the same document, and I did notice that at least it will do whole host backup. Apparently, I've just put a picture in.
If it's single phase,
but only on single phase. Yeah.
Yep. It will do. And look, it's got some great features. It's got a stupendous peak power delivery performance for things like bores and large air conditioner systems where you have very high cold start, or what do you call it? It's the initial startup of motors. It's got 3 MPPT inputs for solar panels directly into it, which is great. It's obviously got its own built-in inverter, which is awesome. The gateway works really well. You can integrate, obviously, what Tesla calls charge on solar. And it's got a near instantaneous UPS function.
And DC coupling for the solar as opposed to the AC it used to have?
Yes, that's right. Exactly. So on paper, it's really great if you've got a single phase house. And again, if you do have a single phase house, then it's a great product. If you don't have a single phase house, it's a product of great frustration, because yes, you can use it, but you'll have to decide, you'll have to get the electrician to split your house and have it back up one of the phases, basically. Which
Yeah,
I guess,
the one advantage on three phase that it has over Powerwall 2 though is related to that solar issue, where previously with Powerwall 2, if you had a three phase solar inverter and you dropped onto Powerwall, your solar would drop dead. Whereas now that issue is fixed, because you can split your solar into 3 chains, stick them on one phase each onto each Powerwall, and then the solar continues to work while you're in battery backup. And that's quite nice. Where previously, if you had a 3-phase inverter, it would basically just drop dead because it would see the grid interactivity go away.
that's right. You'd probably have to actually remove your inverter if you've got a 3-phase house, take away your 3-phase inverter, connect your panels to the Powerwall directly.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so you
again,
replace your 3-phase inverter with 3 Powerwalls, one on each phase, and you're still not going to back up 3-phase loads, but at least you have the advantage when you're in battery backup that you can still use the solar, where previously you couldn't.
absolutely.
Yeah, I've just put a picture into chat. That's exactly what it says. You've got to plug in to the DC to be able to get the whole house single phase backup.
So yeah, so it's just a bit frustrating. In the US, as we all know, they have split phase. So the Powerwall inverters actually they're basically 2 inverters back to back. All Tesla has to do for 3 phases is just add 1 more inverter.
Yeah.
You know, charge us an extra $500 if that's what you have to do, Tesla, but please give us the choice for 3-phase, because let's face it, it's a much more efficient power circulation system. If you charge your car on single phase and you look at at 10 or 15 amps, you can see the voltage drop just through your cable, because the power has to run through neutral as well. The magic of 3-phase is it runs through 3 cables and there is no neutral if it's balanced. It's actually more efficient. There's less loss. But anyway, Tesla did promise it back in 2019, 3-phase. They were working on it. Let's just hope it happens. Hafiz, you got your hand up again.
Sorry, I was just wondering, do you know of any 3-phase batteries in the market
I've just
other
put a
than
link.
Tesla?
Just put a link to one. The
Oh,
only
thank
one
you.
I've ever found, and I think it's available in Australia. I put a UK link in. It's the SIG Energy, and it's a full 3 load up to 80 kilowatt type thing. But I'm not sure if it's in Australia. But
there are a few others. The BYD made one.
BYD is good. That's the HVM. It's a 400 volt ish pack. Actually, you stack them. You stack them up to 7 or 8 high modules like Lego bricks, and then you connect it to a hybrid inverter such as, well, Fronius or GoodWe and others.
link in chat for the BYD.
Yeah, cool. There's quite a
Thank
few
you.
choices, Hafiz. Something else you could do is go down the Victron route, although if you got 3-phase, that requires 3 inverters, but they do talk to each other, and they actually work really well. And you can get some batteries that are a very good price. There's a brand called GoBell. They do 15 kilowatt hours for about $4,500, which is quite remarkable.
That's pretty good.
Whereas, but there is Tesla and others. Shane, you're in the house?
I am.
That's what 3 Victrons can talk to.
Nice.
It is. It really is. So
I'm going to
that's
have to
actually.
I'm going to have to have a put it back up, please. I'm going to have go and have a closer look at those solar panels. I think because
They're flat as. They
yeah,
are flat, and they sit really nicely actually.
yeah,
Obviously, I've got to put them in series and a few other bits and connect it to the 3 Victron, well, to one of the Victron inverters to charge the battery packs on
Yeah.
board.
And we're talking about home batteries and solar and inverters and stuff. My setup here is 15 kilowatt hours, 15 kilowatts of 3-phase, 5 kilowatts on each phase, and 32 kilowatt hours of storage. So it works. This time of year, I've got to be a little bit careful as to when I crank up the booster on the hot water system, mostly. If there's a few cold days in a row, I have to light the fire to keep the house warm as well. But I light the fire, and that also heats my water. So, but yeah.
Shane, can you add more solar, or are you maxed out at your solar arrays?
I could if I needed to. I'll run out of roof space actually.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but so you're not limited, because is that your country and you're off grid, or is it different?
yeah, I'm off grid. I don't have to be
Yeah.
off grid. I just chose to be off grid because certain politicians annoyed me too much, and
Yeah.
I figured that it was possible, so why not? So I did.
Yeah.
And it cost me about 10 grand, I think, give or take. So I've still got my Grid Connect 3-phase Fronius attached to the grid, and that pumps solar into the grid during the day. And then I've got 3 strings of secondhand panels that of varying numbers, give or take 3.5 kilowatts, 3.5, give or take, on each one. And they're all pitched so that this time of year is when they max out, as in max out for not efficiency, but sun exposure. So they're on a very strange angle. They don't look like your normal solar panels on your house. And that's
almost flat, are they?
Almost vertical. They're at 55 degrees.
Yeah, for the lower winter sun. Yeah.
They square onto the sun at this time of year. And then, I haven't run it through summer yet, because in summer, half the batteries were in a caravan instead of on my house. So I haven't actually done that. The vague plan is that now that I've taken those batteries back out of the caravan and I'm going to put them, and they're back on the house, the vague plan is that I'm replacing the batteries in the caravan with a slightly smaller pack, but I'll probably run that in parallel through the Victron, which has got 2 solar inputs, and then I just need to work out where I'm going to strap the solar panels to. So hopefully
the ideal would be to have
what I'm likely to lean to against the shed, which is where all this stuff's set up, so that I can park the caravan underneath it, and then while the caravan's parked under the lean-to, I plug the caravan into the shed, and that connects the DC side of the battery pack to run it in parallel. So I've got plus 10 kilowatt hours on my battery pack, and I can plug the AC from the Victron inverter into whichever phase is most heavily loaded, which happens to be L1. That's the vague idea.
I mean, that makes so much sense. If people got electric caravans, electric boats, they spend 9 days out of 10 sitting at home, so there might as well be a stationary battery. And then if you're out boating or if you're out caravanning, you don't need that extra capacity at home because it's with you.
That's exactly right.
Ideal.
Yeah, and you could actually power in the case of an outage, if you had a transfer switch, you could basically power the house with your external storage.
Well, that's exactly what I've got is a transfer switch. But even when the grid's on, if the grid goes off, the only thing that happens is that my Grid Connect solar doesn't generate anything because it's got no grid to sync to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right. So, but you've got to start the grid up with like a Victron inverter or the Goodwee or whatever that. Oh no, that's Grid Interactive.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, my stuff's all like standalone. Like I flick the switch, when I flick the switch, I'm on my own grid, and Western Power can go get stuff. They can burn all the coal they like, or gas, whatever. It doesn't matter.
And the good thing is they can't actually confront you about having more solar panels or whatever, because
Correct.
in the extreme, what you can do is you can say that nothing touches Western Power's grid except for a 48-volt battery charger.
No, not
That-
even. Not,
Well,
not,
not
I don't
even,
even
but
have that.
if you really need it, just in case, those winter days or whatever.
But if I did do that, then I'd have to dig a whole nother trench and run a whole nother conduit. So no, that's not happening.
You tow your caravan, you bring your caravan to
yeah, okay. I could charge my True, I could charge my caravan in the garage and then move it and then plug it back in again. Yes, I could do that. Yeah.
dearie me.
Yeah. No, the only things that touch the grid are the Grid Connect Solar, which Western Power know about, and that's all fine. That's all legit. And the water pump for the water for the house, the water supply for the house, and that's more as a result of how the block's wired. The main that comes from one switchboard, and then there's another distribution board inside the house that supplies everything else. And again, to change that, I'd have to dig a whole trench and run another conduit. And yeah, no, I'm good. Too old for digging trenches.
So what you need to do, Shane, on your caravan is you need to have something like this, whereby you have 3-phase input, single
Well,
phase.
I'm gonna have two of those. I won't have the third one. I won't have the one on the far left.
and EVSE input, and then you have the output. Now, what I will try and do is hook up a cable between the output to the input so I can get it to charge itself from itself. And I reckon I'll be able to live in that caravan forever.
Yeah, cool.
Um,
And if you can connect it up to your regen as well, then you'll be sweet.
yeah, indeed. Well, I just need to have in-hub motors, and
Yes.
anyway,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen. All right, enough of that. Has anyone got any questions or comments?
Yeah, some news. So the Tesla Model Y was the best-selling car in Australia in 2023. Now, not necessarily as far as absolute numbers are concerned. If you look at absolute numbers, it was in 6th place. But if you just look at private buyers, so if you take out fleets, it was actually the number one choice amongst private buyers in Australia last year. So we know it was the best-selling car globally. Beat out the RAV4 and the Corolla. The Corolla held the top spot since 2005, so for almost 2 decades. But yeah, in Australia, the Hilux has been, and the Ranger have been very popular because of the incentives for tax incentives for tradies. But yeah, it was the number one car as far as private buyers are concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of quite telling, isn't it? Because, yeah, the fleets have their own, that's a different market really at this point. But for private buyers to prefer the Model Y, when it's only been in the Australian market for
2 years.
2 years? Yeah. Yep, basically 2 years. Less than 2 years. I
Yeah.
think it was August. It was August, late August when they arrived in WA.
Yep, August 2022. So
Yep, absolutely. So it's gone from nowhere to the most preferred private purchased vehicle in Australia, and will presumably actually become Australia's most sold car of any kind by the end of this year.
yeah, if not this year, then you would think definitely next year, but very good chance for it to be number one this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when the Juniper, the refresh Model Y comes out, there'll be quite a few of us clamoring to get one.
Look out.
To flip our cars, metaphorically, not literally. The other thing too that Elon Musk did mention I'm pretty sure this was during the Q&A part of the shareholder meeting, was that hardware 4, oh, now I've forgotten the numbers. Is it 5 times better than hardware 3? And hardware 5, which I think the design has completed, but it'll be coming out in about 18 months into cars, is 10 times better than that. So there's like a 15x improvement in the compute in the cars coming in 18 months.
And he said FSD isn't being optimized for hardware 4 as yet. They're still been just using hardware 3. So everything that those cars are doing in the US, where they're going from parking spot to parking spot and going around potholes and stationary cars and, you know, all sorts of things, that's all on hardware 3.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, he also did explain that it's actually somewhat of a benefit for not everyone to have FSD. I think this is probably mainly in the States, although this might happen even in Australia, whereby cars with ordinary autopilot basically run in shadow mode, run FSD in shadow mode, and they actually compare themselves to what the driver actually does, so that they can then do some more tuning, fine tuning of the models to improve the whole system. So he actually did point out that it is somewhat beneficial for some cars, and obviously in Australia that's all cars, not to have FSD yet, since shadow mode is a very important self-learning sort of mechanism.
Because their hand has effectively been forced. He was saying that there's so many miles. He's talking like 1,000 miles between interventions. So you just don't have enough data now to be able to objectively work out whether the new version is better than the old one. It just takes too long. That's the limiting factor. That's what's slowing them down now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said it's not compute to actually train the models. The problem is, how do you work out which model is better, or if you're going in the correct direction? So certainly interesting times ahead, and we really look forward to it coming to Australia sometime. Who knows? So I guess
I
we'll
must
find
say, similar to what Paul was saying, when the vote went through, I'm struggling to think of another time when I've been more excited about Tesla's future than now. I mean, you know, he said during the shareholders meeting that, you know, Tesla's not writing the next chapter, it's writing the next book. And he emphasized the word book. And, you know, now he's writing Master Plan Part 4. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it will be Optimus, it will be self-driving, it will be compute, you know. I think it was during the earnings call where he said, you know, if you've got a fleet of 100 million cars at a kilowatt of processing power each, that's a gigawatt of decentralized compute sitting there for, you know, 100 hours a week. So cars on average drive, let's say, 1.5 hours a day or 10 hours a week. If they're self-driving, they might go up 5-fold to 50 hours. That still leaves 100 hours whether you've got 1 gig of compute just sitting there collecting dust, which you could be using to train AI models to do all sorts of stuff. A bit like the Amazon, you know, web services.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we're talking about Tesla and its sort of future prospects, I guess we should play this.
All views expressed are solely personal opinions, which you should not treat as personal advice, general advice, legal advice, tax advice, insurance advice, financial or investment advice, or advice of any other type.
You should not treat any contents as a solicitation, inducement, or recommendation to undertake any investment, to buy or sell any security, investment product or service, to follow any investment or trading strategy, or to enter, not enter, break or avoid any contract or insurance policy. Any comments are solely the expression of personal opinions and should be treated as such. All contents are for entertainment, educational, and information.
All right, that'll do. I'll eventually fix it up, and as per James Maitland, I will do that as like a what do you call it? Like the end credits, like the start of Star Wars Episode 4.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So Elon Musk did also reiterate that he believed that the ARK Invest report of their 5-year price target for Tesla, which, if I recall correctly, their base case is $2,000 a share. This is in 2029, in 5 years' time. Their
I thought that was their bear case.
sorry, their bear case
case.
dollars. Their
Yeah.
base is $2,600, and their bull case is $3,100. I think that's right, which is approximately 10 times more than what Tesla is worth today. And I think Stephen Mark Ryan commented that in order to get to ARK Invest's $2,600 base case, that Tesla's market capitalization would have to go up by $1.5 trillion
A year. Every year between now and then.
But of course, Tesla's price rise, let's just say that the base case does come to be, the price won't be linearly, it won't be linearly from now to then. There, as Elon Musk said, or as he claims, once autonomy has been solved and the robo-taxi fleet is awakened, he contends that that will be the largest single increase in market capitalization ever, which will probably put NVIDIA's meteoric rise of recent months and years, it'll pale to insignificance should that price target be reached.
And to put NVIDIA's market cap into perspective, it's about $3 trillion, which is more than the whole FTSE index, basically the whole UK stock market. So just one company is worth more than all the companies on the whole stock market in the UK. So, and the prediction is that Tesla's going to increase at $1.5 trillion a year. So half of NVIDIA's market cap, half the market cap of the entire UK stock market every year.
And something that ARK Invest's 5-year price target of $2,600, this is US dollars, doesn't specifically excludes is any valuation whatsoever connected to the Optimus robot program, which
it's purely built on robotaxi.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Elon Musk has said that Optimus will make everything that Tesla is currently doing literally a rounding error for its valuation, just a rounding error. So
and you look at what
be like
and you look at what the mega pack are doing, Tesla Energy, that's growing at 200-300% a year. He did say at one point that that's going to equal, or be larger than the whole auto manufacturing business. So you take the cars, you double the cars with energy, you add all your other stuff, your insurance, your services, everything else, and then you've got full self-driving, and then you've got humanoid robots. And then you've got that a gig of compute just sitting there at some point. I think during the shareholders meeting he did do some numbers, and I think he got to about 30 trillion when he was picking some numbers out of the air. I mean, that's a long way away, if it gets there. But I mean, that would mean it'd be 10 times the size of NVIDIA now.
Yes.
It'll be like Oprah. It'll be like, you're retired, you're retired, you're retired. Woohoo!
Yes, we'd all be effluent, as Kath and
Yes.
Kim would say. We would all be rather effluent.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
actually, and we would be because we'd all have Optimus robots helping us with our
Pete's
lives.
already.
Exactly.
You got Pete's set up, man. He's already got his fleet. So he sends his fleet out, comes back, Optimus cleans the car for him. He does nothing. And then it comes and then it's using the inference computers. So he's getting paid to do F all. So he's the smart one. He's already set up.
Yeah,
The
although-
smart thing would actually be to sell all those cars and put that money into the shares. That would probably be a much smarter thing to do.
Not like me.
Well, I do know for one, if I had not purchased my Model X that Richard Chapman now has, and simply bought Tesla shares at the time, I think that would be worth about $3 million. So I don't know whether that was a very good move, to be perfectly honest, with hindsight, Harry, because with $3 million, I could buy sexy cars, well, several sets, probably in each color, in a different color for every day, for a cool $3 million for what
When is
that
the
model.
earning call? Is that tomorrow morning? Or did I miss it?
July.
Oh no, July. No, James, it's July.
All right.
That'll be
Okay.
July. Yeah.
We got to wait for
Not
the
Damn
end of
it.
the quarter, which is end of the week.
30.
I think it's no, sorry, end
The
of next
30th.
week. Yeah,
Correct.
no, the 30th of June is the last day. The earnings call is usually
The 19th of
I
July.
think it's the 27th this year.
it's a month.
I might be
about
wrong.
later,
Yeah, it's a month away. I'll check.
which would be interesting because a little bit of news for the States was that the long range Model 3 now qualifies for the $7,500 US tax credit, which then means that it is actually almost the same price as the rear wheel drive 3. So it means it just makes more sense to go straight to the all wheel drive long range 3 and it makes it a very compelling product. So
17th of July is the call.
oh,
Yeah, so
17th.
19th of July, Perth time. I got excited because they're going to sort
Would be
July.
18th.
It'll be the 18th, Jane.
18th, buddy.
So is that a that's a Wednesday? Is that the Wednesday? No, it's not.
Oh,
Yes, it is. Yes, Wednesday, 17th. Yeah, that is traditional. Tesla normally holds earnings calls on the Wednesday local time, and for us it's the Thursday morning.
Yep.
Which would be quite interesting. But
If
of
I
course,
work from home, that's all right.
absolutely.
Sorry.
However, the delivery results will come out probably Tuesday morning, Tuesday fortnight for us. Usually about the 2nd of the month.
Now, Harold, you do a lot of drone photos of the delivery. We've seen all these photographs from the newspaper saying all the EV graveyards. What percentage? Because I mean, they only ship Teslas to Australia that are already sold, but we know a small percentage don't. So, but what are we looking at? Probably 10% of those cars we see are not sold.
Actually, I think Tesla slightly changed some of their shipping strategy whereby they do actually ship unallocated cars, but put it this way, there are no unsold cars in WA.
Yeah.
I just look, to be honest, I didn't see that Channel 7 article or that
No, it's interesting because I often drive past and you'll see a sea of tractors one week and the next week is a sea of Ford Rangers, and they never mentioned about the graveyards of front end loaders. Yet I drive through Wangara and I drive through Clarkson and I see parking lots full of Fords and everything on the lots, yet the Teslas are shipped, sold, moved, gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I dare say there's probably, I don't know if they're still doing deliveries. Actually, they would be because there was another shipment So they will be very busily getting cars out now to rush them out before the end of the quarter, even though Tesla has reduced the waves of the delivery waves, because before they used to deliberately, in Fremont, for example, all the production at the start of the quarter would be for international customers so that the cars
longer to ship. Yeah.
And and then later on they do the domestic stuff. They're trying to flatten that out because they were paying through the nose for the enhanced logistics that are required to ship so many cars all at once at the same time. So
But you can see what they used to do it. The last quarter was pretty much the first quarter in a very long time that was cash flow negative because of where the deliveries fell into which quarter. So this quarter, they said on the last earnings call, we'll return to being cash flow positive again. But yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's a little bit, the stupidity is once you have, let's call it a certain amount of inventory, it's not really inventory, it's just cars that are in transit. But if you stop the wave, yes, you will have a certain number of cars that are unsold straddling a quarter. But of course, the cars that were unsold in the last quarter add to the sales of this quarter.
Exactly.
And the unsold cars this quarter will add to the sale of the cars next quarter. And really, once you have that one rump of X percentage, let's call it, I don't know, 5% of all cars that Tesla makes are in transit, then as long as you're not increasing sales, then you'll be into a steady state where everything will flatten out and it'll all be consistent and it'll be a lot cheaper to do. And you don't flog your employees by, making them work 24/7 in the last week of the quarter, and try and hire heaps of casuals or whatever you have to do to get stuff done. If you just smooth it out, you'll get a better shipping rate. You won't have expedite fees and all that sort of stuff.
Now, where is the new yard? I keep on driving up and down Scarborough Beach Road, but I can't figure out which one it is.
It's the old Freedom.
No, it's the old
It's
no, it was a Furniture Bazaar, I think, wasn't it?
Furniture Bazaar. Yeah, I'm just going to look at the.
So it's right at the end of Hutton Street, then, where Hutton Street meets Scarborough Beach Road.
Yes, in fact, if you go to where Hutton Street meets Scarborough Beach Road, you could basically turn left. Oh well, sorry, go south, and it's on the southeast corner of that block.
Yeah.
I did have a photo that I took. Let me see if I've got it handy. Actually, it'll be in the news thing. Yeah, I don't have it this minute, but it's right there, and it's being built by Sarich. It's the same building company that's done what is all but completed at O'Connor, which must be very close to opening. Sorry, Pete?
I was just saying the Tesla sign's up and everything at O'Connor now.
Oh yeah, they've put landscaping and everything, so it must be exceedingly close to being opened. And obviously the race is on to get the Scarborough Beach site done as well. So O'Connor is obviously larger than Scarborough Beach Road, but
so it's next to Subaru and across the road from Honda.
Yeah, and VW.
Yeah, I'll just grab maps and bring it up. It's
in front of Officeworks?
No, it's near there. So basically, if we just go satellite view, so you've got Hutton Street coming through Scarborough Beach Road, and you've got Officeworks here.
Yep.
You've got Gascoigne Leather Centre and others, Lazy Boy. The Tesla site is this one here. So what you'll see is that they're previously with with Furniture Bazaar, there used to be two signs because there were basically two businesses, two furniture businesses side by side. Now, Sarich have now unified this to one large sign, which will have the words Tesla on it.
It's
So
massive. That
it is. It's this basically all this building here. So it's all of this and all of that. I think it's 5,000 square meters. It's about 5 times bigger than the other site, which is here. So it's basically 5 times this size in land area. So it's that's basically and there's parking at the back. So it's going to obviously be a service center and a retail outlet. And then Tesla will probably, I think they've got 18 months left on their, well, it was 3.5 years ago that Tesla got the lease for the Osborne Park site on the corner of Scarborough Beach Road and Main Street. Most commercial leases are 5-year periods with various 5-year options. So I imagine that Tesla would probably move out of the Osborne Park, the current site, in December next year. So approximately 18 months' time. And presumably the Scarborough Beach Road site will be ready should be ready by the end of the year, I would have thought. Which will be pretty awesome. And don't know what they're going to do with the current delivery centre on King Edward Road. Which, if you go past, I had reason to go past I think it was early last week, to collect a car for a lady that isn't here. Someone was speaking before about, the hordes of cars that are sort of like languishing in car parks. Well, basically, if you go to the King Edward site now, it used to, the rear car park used to be massive. I mean, it still is massive. Now it's full of MGs, full of cars. So it's now fully being utilised, and Tesla's part is a lot smaller now. Well, I guess the part they've leased is the same size,
But that's a very
the-
underdeveloped lease, wasn't it? They didn't put a lot of money into that one. There was no sort of
it's a shed.
infrastructure there. Yeah.
It's basically, in fact, if we look at the site here, this is it here, and you go basically down the bottom, and this is when in fact you can actually see Teslas there. And at the time when this photo was taken,
Yeah, COVID. Yep.
that was the COVID
testing.
screening place. So there's the cars getting COVID tests, a whole string of them. But now that this whole area is just full of, and here as well, is just full of cars, non-Teslas. So don't know, I presume that site will then not be needed. And whether Tesla delivers cars out of Scarborough Beach Road at the new site or uses Carrington Street in O'Connor as the main delivery centre. Don't really know. But hopefully we'll find out in the next few months once Carrington Street is properly open, and once it has an amazing, awesome Cybertruck parked in the display centre, which will be a sight to see.
Yeah. When's the Cybertruck coming?
Tesla, even though they've officially stated that and confirmed that the Cybertruck is coming to Perth, they don't have a time yet. I think, is it currently in Victoria? I think it is.
No.
Melbourne. I think it spent at least a month in New South Wales, so it'll probably spend a month in Victoria. Who knows where it goes after then? Maybe it'll go up to Brisbane.
Queensland.
Yeah. Then presumably Adelaide on the way to Perth, and then from
New
Perth,
Zealand.
might catch a boat to New Zealand. Although I really wish Tesla would just simply send another Cybertruck straight to New Zealand, because our Kiwi friends no doubt would be eager to see it. Since they were kind enough to host a development Cybertruck for some winter testing which was
Mm.
very useful to Tesla.
Any word
Uh,
from Horizon? Can we get somebody from Horizon to talk to us about their country ones? They seem
That
very
would
tight-lipped.
that would be good. It's it. There's been no real news about any Horizon Power sites. There's been no new official openings yet, although there is a lot of activity. So there are a lot of locations at the moment where they do have the off-grid tritium charger and they do have the backup generator, but don't have solar panels fitted yet and are sadly not yet commissioned or available. And I think the latest I heard from someone who was talking to them, not related to Synergy or Horizon, this person was told basically that there wouldn't be much new in the next month or two. So I don't know, which sort of worries me because I might squeeze out a quick caravan lap next month, at the end of next month, and I think this is going to be my hardest lap because it's going to be quite frustrating because there are some things that are no longer there and working, or some other things that are improved but probably won't work when I'm there, such as,
Isn't the RAA putting some nice 7 kilowatt chargers in for you?
yeah, it's very nice of them to do that. And
That's all right. Just plug the caravan in and top it up.
yeah, I mean, and that's why, that's why I've put this on the side of the van, so I can pull in 7 kilowatts into the van, and then probably through my blue box. Oh, I might not. Yeah, I could pull. I don't know. Maybe 18 kilowatts, drawing sort of half from the grid, so to speak, and the other half from the batteries that are topped up with the solar panels all the time. So, but it's going to be my most apprehensive lap because I think it'll be like when we do the Tasmania Odyssey, which is the EVA conference, and obviously, in case anyone doesn't know, there will be an official Tokwa casual meetup in Hobart on the last day of October. Is that the 31st?
I sent you the email. No, 31st is, yes, 31st.
31st, yes.
Yeah.
So 31st of October, which is a Thursday. So that will be our official casual meetup. And then on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd will be the EVA conference and expo.
Conference is on the 1st. Conference is on the 1st. Expo's on the 2nd and 3rd.
3rd. So I think for anyone doing the cross Nullarbor transit by then, everything will be done, which will be awesome. It's even possible that the NRMA might have a charger at Border Village, which they've stated that they will do sometime. But whether it works or not, who knows? So, at the moment, anyone can, you got to take your pick or take your chances at Nullarbor Roadhouse. The only thing that hasn't failed so far is the Tokwa sponsored and Tok-Eva and Ava sponsored and Toka sponsored Delta 22 kilowatt Delta charger hooked up to the 22 kilowatt AC
And
outlet.
the Majura Pass one's up and running again, I see.
Yes. Yes. So Majura Pass, in my own personal experience, I've had mixed results depending on who you talk to. And the spectrum of results is they're really pleased to see you, or they want to kill you. So Majura Pass is a bit mixed, but you don't actually need Majura Pass to get from Nullarbor Roadhouse to Mundrabilla. Although I think Mundrabilla is only strictly AC at the moment. They're not allowing the blue box to be used.
No.
Sorry, not blue box, the Delta.
Yeah,
has
Mundrabilla's the 3-phase only.
Yeah, 3-phase only. But anyway, so yeah, I think it'll be my most fraught lap.
Have they had some issues with the DC box, Harold?
So say again, Shane?
Have they had some issues with the DC box in Mudrobella, have they?
I believe so. It at once. Look, it might have been they might have been using one of their smaller backup generators, and perhaps it was overloading it or something. Perhaps, or maybe that's what they thought it was doing, and they've removed it. So no one knows where it is. I mean, it's presumably in a back shed somewhere or something. So
Right.
it's not
So-
available for anyone to use.
So it's not.
It's a shame. 'Cause they are really nice people there, and they're really helpful. They just won't use that, and they couldn't do more for you. They give
Yep.
you a Starlink. They give you a nice place to sit, but it's a slow time. It's a
Yeah.
nice place to sit and watch the world go by for 2 hours 45 minutes.
Yeah, quite. I mean, luckily for my setup, I can just plug in the 3-phase here, and
Yeah,
then
top
basically
up and sleep. Yeah.
with 30 kilowatts,
Mm.
basically 22 from the building and another 10 or so from the caravan itself. So I'll be okay there, but it's still going to be it's going to be a similar trip to what Shane and Sarah experienced, which is interesting.
Yeah, there's just some people. Sometimes you get some people.
They have stickers on their gophers in
They
certain
do. Sometimes they even have engine badges on their gophers. That's okay.
That's okay. We need different strokes for different folks, and it's fine. We are all on a spectrum of some sort. Alrighty. Anyone got any other questions or comments?
We'll be getting a baby Starlink, a Starlink Mini that will fit into backpack soon.
It's apparently A4 sized, roughly. I'm hearing.
Yep. Yep. With all it is just a rectangle with a tiny little stand behind it, nice and thin. Yeah, which will be fantastic. 100 megabits a second.
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm slightly overcapitalized on Starlink terminals, so I won't be buying one, but
Yeah, I've got a couple as well.
Yeah, I might be in the market for one. I might even be in the market for a second handy if you guys are up for it.
yeah, I'm no, yeah, no, I haven't got a second-hand one yet.
You can have mine, Shane.
No one of your second hand ones, Harold. Your second hand is on a second hand to most people.
It is indeed, especially when you hold your Starlink dish on a roof on a rental property, on a property you're renting, just using a couple of Bunnings sandbags and some washed river sand in plastic bags. Which
Well,
incidentally,
Shane,
go
I've got
Pete.
one that's been in the cardboard box that I dragged around Australia, and I only took it out, probably a dozen times, not even. And I always packed it away. And John Edwards borrowed it for the rally that the Tequiva car or the green thing did between Perth and Sydney. And he had it strapped to his truck. But it was, it was bolted down pretty well. And yeah, it's like new. It's got no visible damage or anything like that. So yeah,
Maybe we'll have a chat when I see the price of these new ones come out.
Yeah, no worries.
Supposed to be half price apparently, so I think they're currently $599 full price, so it'll be half that unless it subsequently goes on special. And I think the subscription's supposed to be cheaper too, Elon Musk was saying, implying on Twitter. So I did find the one that's how I do a professional temporary installation, is just a couple of sandbags. Although incidentally that cable actually failed last week, so I had to replace it. But things happen. But yeah, that's great news, Pete. That I think, look, if you're road tripping, that would be a great thing to bring along because it basically guarantees near 100% coverage, especially when you're out in the open. If you're in a forest, like high trees around you, it's not so great. But when you're out in the middle of the bush, it's just amazing how good it is, and they really are everywhere.
Apparently, speaking,
Colin's got a
big-
question.
there's apparently about 2 million Australians that have got a Starlink satellite, about 1% of Australia's population. It's amazing.
I think there'd be that adoption. What's that X curve? That cross
S-curve.
adoption curve?
Yeah.
No, the one with X where
Yeah.
Starlink is going up and to the right, and Sky Muster will be going down and to the right. Basically,
All the regional schools have just changed to Starlink. So they've all ditched what they had, satellites, etc. They've all gone to Starlink. There's been a big rollout of Starlink in the schools.
Fantastic.
Colin's got a question.
Colin, yes, go Colin.
Yeah, just a quick one, guys. I've been looking and I'm just looking for confirmation. When spending Tesla referral credits, there's no points plus pay option at all, is there? It's purely credits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Got someone I know got a few credits, but they were trying to work out what they could get with them. So it's a bit of going through the list and trying to make it all work.
Yeah, which I think you
Yeah,
can
the
do on your
quick-
phone. You can just look through what you can buy.
You may find that the wall connector and the UMC will probably give you the best value in terms of dollar value for points.
Yeah, I think it's more going to be leftovers after buying one of those.
I might be able to buy.
Yeah, so unfortunately, and Elon Musk, he did indicate the question was posed to him at the shareholder meeting whether the referral scheme would come back, and he sort of said not anytime super soon, but it would be re-looked at, because I mean he did rightly say that there is a direct cost to every car that is referred, and let's be perfectly frank, a lot of referrals go to people that run YouTube channels and similar things, and often they will use a referral that, put it so, they would have bought the car anyway. In fact, they were certain to buy the car anyway. They weren't actually referred as we would refer people. You know, we Tesla owners just keep bashing the ears of anyone that'll listen, or anyone that dares ask a question like, "Oh, so what do you think about your car?" Well, then, you know, next week they're buying one. And that's a true referral. But, you know, most of us don't seek any return for it. You know, but yeah, unfortunately having residual points can be a bit frustrating because you literally, well, they're stranded. And a points plus pay would actually be quite useful because, in fact, that should be suggested to Tesla. Because that way, for people with residual points, Tesla could actually get money, because you're going to have to cough up real money to buy something that is, you know, near to the points that you've got. And it would also just flush them out of the system. But anyway, cool. Any other questions or comments? We've got about a bit over 15 minutes to go, unless we decide to pull up stumps a bit earlier.
I was just going to mention a colleague of mine is getting his Quicksilver Model Y next week.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it was originally going to be this week, but he's on holiday this week, so he had to push it to next week.
Yeah, right. Well, he wouldn't have been able to push it the week beyond because that's end of the month, end of the quarter. So there'll be a big push on to get them out. So
Is the new red available yet?
I've got one. I got the new red, and it is beautiful.
what's the red called? What's it called?
Ultra red is the color. Yeah, the combination of the red with the black wheels, and then I got it with the white interior as well, and that combo looks beautiful.
That's how I'd have it.
Yeah, I was very happy when I saw it in the delivery center and went, yes.
I mean, that red probably looks nearly good in the white. Yeah, white is perfect color.
So I can't quite hear that, James.
Yep. The old man mumbling in the corner.
One thing that was interesting you guys noticed, mentioned earlier, was the follow distance of 2, because I've just had the cameras upgraded on the X, And yeah, I was surprised when it went to. I thought it was a fault at first when it would only go to follow distance. So what does that mean for the X then? Is it more on a vision based system now then, or is it still radar?
I guess. Well, I don't know. You'd
Okay.
have to try and do an experiment, which would be hard to do, to try and do something that's not visible to light,
Yeah.
like radar. So you try and get an exaggerated radar signature and see if the car responds to that as opposed to visual.
Yeah. Okay. Like a Coke can facing back towards.
I could think of. Oh no, I don't know if that would work. Yeah, exactly. It'd be pretty difficult to do, actually.
Mm.
It'd be pretty difficult to do. You'd have to do something like have a black painted something on a dark road that's metallic, or at least
Yep.
it's got backing of some metal, so you'd know that it would stick out with radar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe
Sure.
are off.
A mirror
Or-
at 45 degrees.
Yeah, well, yes,
The
exactly.
camera might not figure that one out.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, although if the mirror's at 45 degrees, the radar wouldn't bounce back to the car, so that wouldn't quite work either. But
No, but you could put a large object behind the mirror. I think the mirror would be largely opaque to a radar, wouldn't it? Oh, no, it's metallized.
mirrors,
so-
it's silver, so it's metal, so it's
Yeah.
reflective
Yeah.
of radar as well. But you could sort of do something like that. I don't know. Maybe ask Elon. Just tweet him and say, "Hey, Elon,
Hey, that
Go in a
only
grass
worked once for me.
field. If you went in the middle of
That
an
was a long time
oval
ago.
and you put a panel of fake grass in front of a barrel.
Yeah, just put a
Yeah,
wheelbarrow
okay.
in a
Yeah.
field of hay and drive through it and see if you hit the wheelbarrow. And if you do, then radar's off.
Yeah.
Might not do that.
Chris
dear.
Vanderstock did the good video. Did you watch his video on the Tesla Vision?
No, how did that go?
Yeah, good. He did exactly what you've been talking about. Did the out of sight object and basically ran it over.
Yes, it's something I've been meaning to do on my Model Y, because I've got the ultrasonics, and you can tell it to switch to the enhanced visualization, parking assist visualization, that then turns the ultrasonics off. And yeah, like I said, you can do it on the same car. So if anyone's got a ultrasonic car, a Model 3 or a Y,
I've just put the link in. If you go to the 11-minute 24, he does the final test.
11:24.
If you've got a Tesla that does... What's going on, guys?
Oh,
if you've got a Tesla that...
Sorry, let me just... I just got to turn the speaker off. And did you say 11 minutes?
11 minutes 24 is where he's just about to start the last test.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. 11 minutes to 11:24. Got to 11 minutes exactly.
Oh, 11 minutes. Okay.
You've got kids who maybe are on your own, who will run in front of the car, say, or beside the car. The back's okay, by the way. The camera has actually got a good position, so it picks it up pretty damn well. The false positives that it's producing, it's blobs that just doesn't give the detail that I'd like. I just don't get why Tesla took ultrasonics away. They should implement the two. They should amalgamate the two, so you can get the blobs along with the ultrasonic distance data. That's what you need. But better, I want 360-degree camera. That's what I want with the ultrasonics. It's not much to ask. And for what? Not even $100 for another camera and putting the damn sensors back on, which Munro suggested was about another $100 saving that Tesla made by
where
removing
you go back to where you got the red square in
not
front of the car.
I don't understand. They should be seeing it. Still nothing. Come on, you saw something before. Can't be that bad. Alright, I reckon height of the camera should definitely be able to see that. Nothing. I'm going to knock it over.
Yeah, so it's actually quite correct. It's about 5 brick courses because I've sort of done it on my kids Model 3. You can just you go to service mode and you do a camera visualization and you can actually see what the car sees for all of the cameras. And the newer Highland Model 3 has 2 forward cameras, which clearly means that the third one, which is missing, would have been intended to be on the front bumper like the Cybertruck. And yeah, it's just madness. It's just madness. But
I might be about to swear here, but
please don't, because this is a kid show.
I must say the BYD has a lot of faults and failings in its software, but it does have a bird's eye view when you're reversing, and it is really, really accurate. It's actually quite impressive how it knits it together, and you can see what's going on from above you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that actually Elon Musk has promised would come eventually, because the car is surrounded by cameras and it's not that hard. It's just maths to give you that artificial surround view. But the Achilles heel is you cannot see that the camera's up here and you got the bonnet, so there is this zone where you cannot see. And it's just crazy.
Maybe I'll take a video of the Atto backing around some piles of pavers that just happen to be at the front of the garage that it goes past every day, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, we've got less than 9 minutes to go, so we might just have any last drinks of questions or comments.
I was just going to say, Harold, I popped a picture in the chat of the new Model Y in the new red.
Yeah, I just took it to my wife. It looks gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Oh yes, very nice. And you've got the new grey wheel covers.
Yeah, they look really good. They're really, really nice combination with the red.
That is nice. All you need now is for that frangipani in the front to have the same sort of dark red flowers, and it'll be perfect. Very good. Yes, my wife's S was red, but it wasn't anywhere near as gorgeous as that. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Alrighty. Any last questions before I ask Pete a very rhetorical question? No, I think we might go straight to the rhetorical question. So, Pete, as if I didn't already know, how would you call out this last or ring out this last bit of the show?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable. Well done, Tesla retail shareholders, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, buy Tesla shares, vote those Tesla shares, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and really look forward to seeing you on next week's program of Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Well, God.
No.